Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Danny Flores with the OC Power Players, and today we have Wing Lam, co-founder of Wahoo Tacos since 1988, and also the charity of California Love Drop in 2020. He has been featured in multiple TV shows and has been a frequent speaker at different events. Welcome, Wing.
Well, thanks for having me, Danny. It's been a crazy week, but we can talk about everything that's going on and what's happened.
Yeah. But before we do that, and we probably should touch on that because that is something that's here happening in California with all the fires. Tell us a little bit about you and how you got started at Wahoo Tacos, how that all that happened.
Well, back in 1988, I was a little discouraged by my endeavors in corporate America. Asian kids were not necessarily welcome into the I call it the elite part of the corporate structure. So I was a little discouraged, but I say, hey, you can either cry about it or do something about it. I decided to do something about it. So my kid brother, Ed and Mingo, we ventured out. I said, hey, corporate America is not ready for us yet. So let's see what we can do together. And my parents have had restaurants all over the world, from Japan to Brazil to America. So in the blood was the hospitality industry. So we wanted to do something unique and different. So we came up with a surf themed, Mexican restaurant with a little bit of our Brazilian / Hawaiian, influence. And that's the beginning of Wahoo's Fish Taco in 1988.
Wow. And what was the first one that you opened? I think it was here in Orange County, wasn't it?
Yes, it was right there on the west side of Costa Mesa. And most people would drive right through it and not realizing that it's not just industrial and apartments. It was actually the mecca and the hub of the surf industry in America in the 80s. Is the Quicksilvers, the Billabongs, all the biggest brands in the world were based U.S. headquarters in Costa Mesa.
Wow, interesting. Now, how many restaurants are there now?
There are over 50 locations. We lost about a dozen during COVID. But we're now getting ready to, retool. Thank God for getting a little bit of government assistance, the PP and the whatever money you want to call it. And so we use that to refresh, get new equipment, and get ready for the post-pandemic.
Nice. Always kind of thinking ahead, right? Keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
Now we know that there's a lot of competition in the food industry.
Yep.
What sets you guys apart from everybody else to be able to make you so successful?
Well, the biggest thing actually is we were one of the first, I call it Asian inspire fusion restaurants, long before, all the other trendy restaurants, So again, how many Asian guys in the 80s were making tacos? I'm pretty sure we're the first ones, right? And on top of it, we wanted to have a little theme to it. Yeah. So all the surf, skate, snowboard, all the cool extreme sports stuff, not only are they hanging on our walls, we've actually been a part of all their events. So when you talk about music, trade shows, surf events, snowboard events, X Games, US Open, we have been a part of it since the beginning. So every summer, every winter, you can find us up in the mountains, local skate parks, surf contests. So we don't just, talk to talk, we walk the walk, right? So you can't be a surf themed restaurant if you've never sponsored a surf contest, So we've done multiple, some of the largest. So if you have won a world title, an Olympic gold medal, you are one of our customer friends. And that's where we, even our store out of the country, the only store we have in Japan. Right after the Japan delayed Olympics, the skater from Japan that won the gold medal, She was training in California a few months before, loved what we were doing, and she decided to goes, hey, we can totally, do this with you, as, she won the gold medal. And people are like, wow, how does she know about Wahoos? Well, while she was training in California, she was eating our food.
Nice. Yeah. That maybe that's what helped her also win the gold medal. The good nutrition, right?
Yeah, maybe. Yep.
Yeah. Right. Now, what comes easy to you? What comes easy to you that others may find challenging?
Well, the idea is that, a lot of people will sponsor events, but they don't know how to activate. So one, you might spend, let's say, $10,000, $1,000,000 to be somewhere. But if you don't know how to engage with the consumer and let them touch and feel and experience your product, you might not get the most bang ROI for your investment. And the joke is, pre-pandemic, for every dollar you would spend to sponsor an event, if you want a true and the most ROI possible, you would have to spend another $5 to actually activate. So imagine spending $10,000 to sponsor an event and then another 50 the day of. I mean, that's a lot of money. And most people say, well, we'll just put our logo on it. Do you even remember any of the logos that were on a marathon shirt or anything that you ever did? No. But you might have remembered the guy that you were running and sweating that gave you a bottle of Gatorade. You know what I mean? So in those moments, you remember, I call it, the old ABC, the agony of defeat and the thrill of victory. So in that moment of defeat or victory, whatever brand was in that, in your space, you'll forever remember, because you got through that painful stage to get to the finish line.
Yeah.
And whatever product you might have sampled in that marathon to get to the end, you'll remember, good or bad, you'll remember it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But if it was just a logo on the side of the racetrack, you may or may not remember a car company, a cell phone company. I mean, nothing against it. But imagine when you finish the marathon and somebody hands you a phone to call your mom or your wife to say, hey, honey, I'm home, I finished, right? That branding is what we call product integration, right? So that's the part that people, I'm amazed that they don't understand. So we want you to surf, and after you finish, have a Wahoo's fish taco.
There you go.
And then all of a sudden you'll remember, whether you won or lost, you'll remember that was the reward for the best that you could have done. So we don't care, because out of 100 people in any contest, only 3 will end up on that podium.
That's true.
The other 97, good luck, but next time, right? But all 100 will remember that part of that journey was Wahoo's fish taco.
Those are great marketing tips, because you're not, like you said, if you're just using an ad, you look at it, but because they're tasting it and after the event, they're going back home. And they can become reoccurring customers.
Yes.
And it builds on that. So that's like a really good tip for everybody who's listening to us in any product that they may have, is trying to figure out a way of really how to engage with their customers and give them the samples or that touch that would make them remember them.
Yeah. And again, most people don't think. They're like, well, we just want the winners. I mean, trust me, everybody wants the winners, right? But the problem is you don't know who the winners will be. So why don't just bet on everybody? And guess what? The other 97 will become your regular customers.
Make them a winner in a different way, right?
Exactly.
Filling their appetite. Right.
Yep.
So that's a great tip of, if somebody is in the fast food industry or any other business, figure out a way to really extend that time that you invest or that product or that sample to make it a home run for them.
Yep.
Now, as you've been in business all these years, what has been one of your biggest challenges?
The challenge has always been what I call it, the outside factors, right? And
Mhm,
going back a few years, like about 10 years ago, whatever we want to call it, right? You
mhm,
have, the internet bubble burst, you had the real estate burst. All these things indirectly affect how consumers behave.
mhm.
They're going to be a little bit more loose with their wallet or a little bit more conservative because they don't know what's coming next. And
Right.
then you have, like the gas craziness, right?
Mhm, right.
Imagine today we're at about what I think in California, I think the least expensive is somewhere around maybe $3.80, right? But pretty much 90% of the gas stations were $4.
Mhm,
Well, it was not the real thing 10 years ago, right? Once we got over three, people like, oh my God. And people literally started brown bagging lunches 1 day a week.
right.
Well, if there's 5 days in a week and people start brown bagging one,
Mhm.
you're down 20% in traffic,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So all of a sudden, gas prices went over $5 for a short, period there. Our
Mhm.
fishermen said, you know what? We won't make any money by catching fish because we have to spend so much money on gas. So we
Right.
may not go fishing for a couple of weeks, right?
Right.
So
Right.
those are like a lot of the outside. Internally, you're always going to have, like I call it, the artificial. Like in California, when minimum wage went up to $20,
Right.
they're saying, well, it only affects fast food. No, it affects everyone
Mhm.
because now a person has the option. Hey, I can go work in construction. I can go work this, but I want to get paid $20. Because
Right.
if you don't pay me 20, I can go to the fast food guys where they will give me 20.
Right.
So it affected everybody. So a lot of this stuff is external, right?
Right.
And people don't realize that one minor change
Mhm.
in any category affects everyone, right?
Right.
Because all of a sudden everybody wants to get paid more. And the
Mhm.
funny part is nobody wants to pay more, right? I want to get paid more, but I don't want to go to a restaurant and pay more. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. We just increased our labor cost by another 25%.
Right.
Can we increase our food prices by 25? You'd be amazed how people react.
Right. 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 Nothing's free, right?
Yeah,
So when people think, and this is not getting political, but when people think that, oh, great, I'm getting a wage increase, what a great politician.
yeah,
Well, it doesn't work that way. It's inflation. That's what's happening. Everything's going to go up. Like
yep,
you said, the cost of the food, the suppliers, the shipping, everything goes up.
yep, yep. And
And
right now, we know with the tariffs, the new president again, and
mhm,
people are like, oh my God, this is great for America. No,
mhm,
because we're all going to just pay more.
mhm,
So, yes, we can protect some of the manufacturing, but we're
mhm.
just going to pay more for everything that's being imported now.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
everything that we export, those countries are going to charge us more. So,
right.
who really wins? I'm not sure. You know?
Nobody, I don't think
Yeah,
anybody does, right? If they would just stop raising wages, keep everything flat,
yeah,
then everything would have to go up and it'd be a little bit different, I guess.
yeah. So at the end of the day, a free marketplace, it's
Mhm.
supply and demand. Let the market dictate what people want to spend, what people can sell for,
Right.
because you're going to find out if you're too expensive, nobody's buying. If you're paying too much, nobody's buying, right? So there's always the old chart in high school, supply and
Right.
demand,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, equilibrium for that.
Yeah.
Now, before we got on here, we talked a little bit about the fires and what you guys are doing. I wanted to bring that up because so many people don't know what to do or don't know
Yeah.
how to go about it. Tell us a little bit about how you're involved and some suggestions for anybody who wants to help with that.
Okay. First of all, I'm super appreciative of all the great intentions out there.
Mhm,
But before you go and show up to any of the centers, whether it's the American Red Cross, the LA Food Bank, Frontline, you need to ask permission. So make sure that before you show up, ask them what they need, right? Because one, you're not going to be able to get through the barricades. The For example, is the Pasadena Convention Center is the
mhm,
Red Cross Center for all the displaced families, right?
mhm,
There's over almost 500 families going there on a daily basis for either staying or getting supplies.
mhm,
Well, they don't know the difference between the families, the looky-loos, and the looters. So there's police barricades around the convention center to make sure only the right people that need the services can get in. So from a liability point of view, Danny, you could say, hey, I just got 1,000 hot dogs and I'm going to bring it in. Well, does the American Red Cross know who you are, Danny? Have you ever done this with the Red Cross before? Because there's a safety issue. How do they know they can serve those hot dogs to the families and the victims, right? So I happen to be a partner of the American Red Cross for the last 20 years. And through the pandemic, I knew all the protocols on how to deliver, what to do, how to individually pack all the meals. So when all my chef friends wanted to do this, I'm like, hey guys, great, but let's all work together. So, and first and foremost, let's make sure we contact them and not just show up. And they're like, really? We can't just show up? No, you can't just show up because they need to plan. Everybody's on a schedule, right? So there's a logistics and all that. So we want to make sure we bring what they need on a timely manner. So now we're somewhat on a schedule. Today's Tuesday, but last Friday it was chaos because everybody's like, well, will you do this, you do that? Goes, hold on, guys, let's come up with a timeline and make sure we're on schedule. So I have multiple friends on the front line with their food trucks, and I have friends with going to the shelter. So we just got to make sure that our efforts are not just being wasted, right? So talk to somebody who's been doing it. Don't just come up with an idea, and I had somebody else yesterday goes, oh, we have a truck loaded with pet supplies and all this. I'm like, where are you going to go? So I spent this morning on the phone with the LA missions and the rescue. Where do they need to go? Because you just can't show up. We need to make sure you're going to the places where you're needed and the supplies are going to be distributed to families that need the most, right? So it's about just communication as usual, have a game plan, and we got lots and lots of chefs willing to work. But before I said, hey, before you make one single meal, let's figure out where it's going to go first and how it's going to get there. And then we back in, because how much time do we have from the time it's made until the time it's going to be eaten? So we got to make sure it's hot, it's packaged right. There's a lot of things that need to be done, right? And because I've delivered thousands of meals during COVID, I'm still somewhat used to it, and I have a team in place that knows how to deliver. So this morning, while we were getting on your show, I'm already contacting Monster and Energy Drink, because the frontliners, they still need energy drinks to, stay awake, caffeine. So I'm like, okay, I'm coordinating my drivers to go pick it up and how to get it to the front line.
Right. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I think those are really good instructions. I know there's so many people that want to help right now and have different resources. But like you said, it makes sense to get coordinated and to ask and to kind of get some direction so that it can be more done more organized in an organized manner, and to still be able to get the end product to the people that really need it.
Yep.
That's great. That's great. Thank you so much for that information. So it looks like I wanted to bring one last thing up. It looks like you're doing super well for your business and you have everything else going on. The business owners such as yourself sometimes look for alternative ways to invest and create some passive income to either help set themselves up for retirement or add additional cash flow for the families. What are your thoughts about that?
I think it's great. Anytime, again, the best place and the best ROI is always going to be in your business. But I would say help startups, like be a mentor. Don't just look at, ways to make more money, but maybe help the new guys, get going. And believe it or not, you're going to get a different kind of ROI. You're going to get this thing called gratitude, because you now impacted somebody's lives, somebody's, way of, starting their own business. Because we as seasoned veteran business owners, we've seen a lot of stuff. And why not show the young guys how to avoid some of the pitfalls, So yes, you can passively invest in other businesses as well to make more money. But believe it or not, the gratitude that you will get for helping somebody start their new business is like, you can't measure that. You can really make an impact.
Right. Yes. put a smile to somebody's face, help them become successful and create their dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely resonates. It looks like a good path to take.
Yep.
So as we wrap up our interview, what does 2025 look like for you?
Well, once we get through the next probably like 6 weeks of the post-fire, shenanigans, I
Right.
think 25 is going to be a great, year for us. The weather has been amazing in California. The government is hopefully more pro-business than ever, and I think everything is turning around. I think all the unknown elections, I think we're over pretty much all that. There's going to be a little midterm coming up, but I think all the things are moving in the right direction. Staffing, everything is on track right now. So I think we're looking forward to getting over this little major hiccup we've had for the last 4 years.
Right. I hope you're right, and I agree with you. It's looking good. Let's just hope that that's the case.
Yep.
Well, Wing, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time out today to share your insight and a little bit about the fire and coordination there. I mean, it's very great information for our audience. And just wanted to thank you. And if somebody wanted to connect with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can email me. I don't know if you want to do it, wing.lam@wahoos.com. You can go on Instagram at Wahoo's Wing, and also LinkedIn. I mean, there's multiple ways you can reach me, and just wing.lam is, and everything afterwards, right? But yeah, I'm easily accessible. If I don't reply right away in the next few weeks, you'll know what I'm doing. I'm coordinating deliveries of meals and supplies to the frontliners.
Yes, very good, very good. And once again, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insight with our audience.
All right. Thanks for having me, Danny.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.